Hey everybody, welcome to the main line. Tonight we are talking about AEW Dynamite, Impact Genesis, New Japan Strong, and we might even do a little retro review. Let's get it. What's up, Tyler?
Hey, what's going on, Gary? It's always a pleasure to be with you, my friend. And I know Daniel, we're missing him, so can't wait to have him back next week. But I can't wait to talk. There's so much wrestling to talk about every week.
So yeah, like you said, unfortunately D-Bake's out, but every good faction has a third man, brother. And we have Tyler Peters here.
And it's not Mabel. Yeah, there you go.
I'd like to remind everyone that the show is sponsored by manscaped.com. You can use our promo code ML2020 to get 20% off and free shipping. Everyone cuts their Yoshihashi every once in a while trimming downstairs, Tyler. We are here.
You got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
And they're helping us with awesome trimmer with a ceramic blade. It's got a nice light on it. I recommend going picking it up. They also got crop preserver to make your junk smell good.
Hey, so, whatever you need.
Thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring the show. So slow news week this week, Tyler.
Yeah, it was a little slow. There's been just a few things, but still,
New Japan is taking a break. Do you think it would be nice if WWE took breaks like this, like a couple weeks off here and there?
To be honest, according to what programs, they probably need to, but that's just my opinion. But I just don't think they never will. That's not their model or presentation. That's not the way Vince works. His mind does not work like that. Yeah,
money.
It is money, but it's the way it goes. Whether
I think
people
it would
agree
be nice
with it or not.
After like WrestleMania or something to take like a week off, or these days when you get bumped by big sporting events on Fox, maybe just take the week off.
Sure.
I think it would help, refreshing our love for the product.
Oh, absolutely. But once again, that's what's unique. I mean, we're talking New Japan, how they space them out, and even with Impact AEW and AEW being a newer company, but with WWE's model and the way they produce pay-per-views. But I'll be honest, with all the pandemic and not having a live crowd there as far as real people, we're seeing the pay-per-view matches actually not go as long and the card not go as long. And I think that maybe has a lot to do with it. I'm only making an educated guess there with why that is.
Yeah. Well, luckily AEW, like you mentioned, gave us plenty of New Japan news. So
they did.
Let's talk a little bit about Dynamite. So first match of this night, we had Young Bucks and SCU. They defeated the Acclaimed in the Hybrid 2. This was a fun match. All these guys are athletic.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
SCU, they're pros. They're, awesome wrestlers.
Oh, they're great. They are tremendous wrestlers and workers. And I'll tell you what, Gary, I remember Kazarian and Daniels and I know you do too, from when it was TNA Impact and then coming over to AEW. That's what's so unique about the cross promotion. There's so many talent that's been in both places. So that's what I've just now found fascinating. It's amazing how you gloss over those facts, but I'm with you. That was a fun match.
Yeah, Kazarian, I think he was in WWF, WCW, ECW. He's like Jericho. He's the only one to run the gamut.
Did not realize all that, but not surprised. He's very talented and skilled. Can get the job done.
Like we said, Bucks and SCU defeated the Acclaimed in the Hybrid 2. And the big story was after this match, SCU challenged the Young Bucks.
They did. I think what it was is Kazarian was cutting the promo and said if he and Daniels could not win another match, they were done as a tag team. So that was big. So it makes the storyline interesting. They really have to get the job done against Matt and Nick Jackson. And I don't care how friendly you are, you're still competitive. And every team is going to want those tag team championships in AEW. I mean, there's going to still FTR in the picture. There's Jurassic Express. So it's just a fun time to be a wrestling fan. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do with SCU taking on the Young Bucks and this challenge that was called out by Kazarian to the Jackson brothers.
Yeah, I think that we also had a young buck injury too. One of the bucks came out of this match with a bum ankle. It sounded like being the elite that it was going to be okay. So hopefully
Okay.
it is.
Yeah, I did not hear that and,
I
and
don't
may
know
have
if you
missed it.
noticed,
Yeah.
they kind of went for the Meltzer driver and they
They
didn't hit
did.
it. They didn't hit it, and then he went and did a dive over.
I did notice that. In my notes, I was like, I've got to write this down because that was something. He changed direction, which was impressive to take out those other guys, but it made you think, why did
Especially
he?
since that was a botch. Like, he was supposed to do the one thing and
Hmm.
instead he did the other because
Was
he
he the one
couldn't
that had the
support
leg
himself.
injury? Is that
Yeah,
why you think he
it
did
was.
that? Because now that makes sense. That now that you said one of them was injured, and then they made the call to do
I think it was
Daniels.
Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I
yeah,
remember
to
correctly.
help out. Yeah, from SCU on the finish.
So yeah, it was a fun match. I can't wait for, like you said, the SCU versus the Bucks. I know we've seen
Oh,
it
it's going to be
before, but
great. Yeah,
it's
but
gonna
they
be
can
fun.
change it up. They're creative. Yeah.
They're gonna break up this tag team, right? They're breaking up SCU.
It maybe. I mean, I think it may be that Daniels and Kazarian want a singles run. I mean, maybe that's why. Like with Omega and Page, as wild as that storyline was, but I will respect the fact that it made you think because that tension, and eventually we saw them break up because they saw that star power you had with Heyman and Omega. I mean, eventually they were going to have to break off, as we've seen a lot of tag teams in the history of wrestling. So that's just my quick thoughts on that.
Yeah, and don't sleep on Scorpio Sky. That guy, he's top
Absolutely.
guy
I mean, how
material.
can you forget about Scorpio Scott? To me, I think is going to definitely be a champion and can wrestle anywhere. And AEW was lucky to find him. What a gem. Scorpio Sky is. The sky's the limit for that guy, and he's already very good.
Yeah, he's great on the microphone. They should put a rocket
Yes,
pack on Scorpio Sky and make him a star.
they need to push him, a mega push. I agree.
So after that, we had a Mox promo where he
Hmm.
essentially said he's not going to get involved in the main event, but he's not done with Kenny Omega by a long shot. And that was pretty much the gist of the promo.
Yeah, he was talking about that integrity. He didn't want to. He felt like Phoenix deserved for him not to get involved. And Moxley is great with the promos. I like his work in the ring, his whole presentation. He wants to fight. He don't care to go hardcore. Very talented. But and you're right. He said that he was respecting Phoenix. It was his time, his opportunity. Omega, to me, that match, I can't wait to talk about that one. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's what made me want to lead into that one, just by mistake or not. But Moxley, I don't know. Speaking of New Japan, we've got a lot to talk about there with Moxley. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we've been kind of me, Bakley, and you have been having a conversation. When are we going to see Moxley show up at a New Japan show? Because they showed that promo video. I believe was it during Wrestle Kingdom that aired.
Yeah, he said essentially whoever was holding that briefcase, he's coming for. And
Uh-huh.
as of right now, it's Kenta.
Yeah, it's
So
Kenta, right? Yeah.
yeah,
So
hopefully.
that's intriguing. Yeah, I know that kind of got off AEW, but it kind of segued because it's still AEW, but it goes into New Japan. So that's what made me think about it.
I think that match is going to be killer once they do it, Kenta versus Moxley, because it's two guys that the WWE did not utilize correctly, or at least to their fullest potential, who want to show the world what they can do. So I've seen Kenta really try to put on a strong showing with Juice for the same reason. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're going to really try to tear the house down when they finally get that match.
Oh, I think they will too, and I think the chemistry will be there. You don't have to worry about that. Kenta's a great heel, a great villain. Moxley's that baby face that'll do anything. So that's why it'll work. And you've got so much knowledge. I didn't even realize Kenta had been in WWE. See, I'm learning something all the time by these podcasts. Yeah.
Hideo Itami. Do you remember Hideo Itami and NXT?
Sounds familiar. I'm still learning, to be honest. I'm still
He
learning.
came to NXT as a huge deal. Kenta was
Okay.
maybe the biggest wrestler outside of the United States. He was a god in Japan. So he came here with so much hype and immediately hurt his shoulder. So you were expecting an amazing feud between him and Finn Balor, and it never happened. He hurt his shoulder and was on the fence for the bench for a long time.
And could you imagine those possibilities? You had Balor, who had established himself in Japan. He comes over to NXT. Then Kenta's there, but that injury had messed up things.
It really did. And
yeah.
then he got to face Bobby Roode. He did some things, but eventually he made the trip back to Japan. And I think it was definitely the right career move because he's
I think so too. Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes WWE puts their foreign wrestlers in a box, and they did that.
They do. Yeah, that's a good point, and I think they're allowed to be themselves over in Japan. To your point, they have that freedom creatively and their presentation. They can be made more credible and believable. Not taking a shot at WWE. That's just the way they do things. But it's from what I hear. I'm just a fan. I don't know much, but even from people inside the business that's been there, it's too much cookie cutter their style, or it's the highway, and that doesn't always work for everybody. So,
yeah, it doesn't work for most people, as you can tell from Raw. You watch Raw.
Yeah, I'd like to forget that. I actually watch New Japan and then call it the 10 best moments of Raw anymore because 3 hours is long enough with commercials and even DVR. Yeah, no.
I don't want to talk about WWE too much, but I will say I enjoy me a fireball spot.
Yeah, that was something else. I guess they were thinking of the original Sheik or some of the big time great fireball scenes. And Randy's one of the greatest. Yeah, all those guys. I think Lawler did it. I mean, we're going old school, even with modern day wrestling. And I'm just wondering what the guy on my shirt would say, but we're not going to get into that. But
so yeah, after the Mox promo, we had the best friends talking about how Trent is on the IR for months with a torn pec. We had Miro interrupt. Miro challenged the best friends to a match tonight.
That'll be pretty good. I mean, at least for Miro. The only thing about this whole storyline with Kip Sabian, the best man, they got to have the comedy ha-ha, which is okay, but I still want Miro to be unleashed. I think they're missing the boat a little bit on that. I mean, you don't want to rush that, but I think you've got to start.
They're teasing it. Yeah. Talked a big game, and he said that they were going to treat Rusev / Miro way better than WWE has or did, and they definitely haven't so far.
They've missed it. Yeah,
they haven't let him shine in the ring, or they haven't let him shine out of the ring because he's a really, really funny guy.
Yeah, he is.
It hasn't translated to the AEW product.
And once again, that's the talent. It is their job to do that, but once again, it goes back to whoever's coming up with the creative. I mean, for his lines, his bullet points, and it's just not working. It's not connecting with at least the viewers at home, even those who are allowed to be at Daly's place. I mean, you've got to have some substance with your promos. And, I'm not claiming like I know much, but hey, we're fans. We do research and we try, but I'm with you. I'm waiting for that big brute we saw in WWE. It don't have to exactly be the same because you don't want to copy what they did, but at least make him to be this guy that just comes and destroys people. That's how you need to build him.
He can be funny and he can destroy people, but yeah, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a sense of humor.
Something to chew on.
He's got to have personality. I'm all for that, but there's also good and bad comedy too in some of those segments. So
that's true. There's a lot of bad comedy in those.
Yeah, it's too forced and too contrived, I guess is another word for it.
Second match of the night, we had Wardlow defeat Jake Hager. I liked this. It was, two hosses fighting at it.
Yeah, it was a good match.
You've established Jake Hager as a badass, being in Bellator.
Oh, yeah, he's legit. There's no doubt about it.
So this loss to Wardlow really makes Wardlow look legit.
It does. I mean, eventually they were going to have to go to this match because it fit the storyline. There was that dissension with the Inner Circle, and this was the only way to get it out is by having this match. And the way Hager and Wardlow threw around each other when they needed to look strong and dominant just impressed me. These guys are also tremendous athletes. That triangle submission that Hager brings some of the Bellator MMA experience, which we've seen with a lot of when they transition back into wrestling or for the first time, they'll use a lot of their movesets, was outstanding. And the way Wardlow caused Hager to hit his head on the turnbuckle, and he finally had got what it was at the F10 finisher. It's almost a knockoff of like what they call Lesnar F5. I didn't catch that, but I think they call it the F10. So I was thinking now, Lesnar had that move, but it was the F5. But this is different. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but the name of it reminded me of what they called Lesnar's finisher.
I think I remember that spot you're talking about too, where he
Yeah.
caught the arm bar. It was like almost a reversal.
That's right, the arm
Uh,
bar. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember. Yeah,
or whatever it was. It was like a triangle. Yeah,
it was something like that. I'm not saying
a good spot. I enjoyed that as well.
It
They
was.
squashed a lot of beef after this match. So in the ring and backstage with MJF, do you think they're really squashing the beef here? Or are we planting seeds for a breakup?
That's interesting. A great question. I'll be honest with you. I hope they just break up the MJF Wardlow faction away from the inner circle, because I feel like you get too many people. We see this a lot in factions. It kind of dilutes it a little bit. And I think MJF is better when he's by himself with Wardlow, or vice versa, by himself just solo.
What about MJF taking over the inner circle? Because it kind of seems like Jericho needs a break.
That could work. That's also a good point, because Jericho's been pretty adamant about he wants to do more commentary. He's kind of getting to that stage where he's helping the young guys. He's doing a great job, and he's so entertaining. I mean, and I like Fozzy, man. I'll start singing Judas with the crowd there, man. I like some rock music too, and he's just a funny guy. Jericho can do it all. He can entertain you, but he can go. I mean, he's a legend for a reason. He's a big name. That's why it was smart to get him to AEW, because with all due respect to Cody and the Young Bucks and Omega, that's your big star, is Chris Jericho.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've argued it before on this channel about whether it was the right move to put the belt on Jericho first. I think it definitely was.
Oh, you've got to put it on the future Hall of Famer, established guy that's been everywhere, that's got that recognition. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, Jericho obviously is a future Hall of Famer. He's going to be one of the greats, if not the GOAT. But right now, I don't know. He needs a break. He's out of shape. He's like a lot of us. He's got the pandemic body.
Yeah, hey, that's why I'm on a diet myself, because even before the holidays, no excuse. I was already slacking off. So I'm like, man, I've got to get healthier and change. This is ridiculous. I mean, what am I doing? I mean,
and I think he's got it in him to make like what would this be? A fifth career renaissance? I have no clue. I've lost count at this point.
He's like Dustin Rhodes and so many of these people, even a Randy Orton. He can reinvent himself. And that's what I take away. He can just always add a wrinkle or a twist, even if it's the simplest thing, to his character, that it just stands out. And it can actually be amazing at times. So talking about Jericho.
So Private Party was backstage, and they were missing party favors. And who brought them the party favors but Snoop Dogg?
Snoop Dogg brought them the party favors. See, I'll be honest. I only caught highlights of certain matches. I didn't get a chance to catch a lot of the backstage segments, but now that you broke that down, how cool to have Snoop Dogg do that. Party favors for, hey, speaking of a party, it's in their gimmick, Private Party. Why not? I'm sure they were probably getting a little high, if I had to guess. No, all due respect. Come on.
It's legal here where I am in Illinois.
Well, so. Hey, I'm not knocking it. I mean, hey, more power to you. We might need to be high just to distract ourselves with wrestling, and it may help us get a better experience. Yeah,
I recommend it to get through Raw.
Sorry for the awkward laugh there, but yeah, I hate to knock Raw because I'm a WWE fan, but
sometimes you got to be negative. It's not fun not to critique. You can't be positive all the time.
Yeah, it's not as fun, and I got to admit, it's hard sometimes. That's why I almost would rather watch highlights. I've got it DVR'd a lot of the times, and I'm like, well, let me just see what the big moments were, and I may miss some things, but it's the way it goes. And it's so long. Unless there's something good, like anything McIntyre does, I'm good. Charlotte, that's cool. Even though, Ric Flair's obviously going to be a full-time performer. They're doing something with Lacey Evans now that giving Rick those, that woman or something. I don't know what they're going for there. I'm confused most of the time when I'm watching it, but it's, I'll still catch bits and pieces of it. Of course, McIntyre was not able to be there. COVID-19. He got hit with that. And Triple H, that was kind of interesting. We got Triple H and Randy Orton. Now, that was a moment I wanted to go check out, because when I heard Triple H was kicking it off, then I heard, I saw on social media, Triple H and Orton are actually going to be what they call a fight, not really a match. So that's what got my interest automatically in it with Raw. About the only thing, couple things.
Yeah, I hear you. Highlights is the way to go with Raw right now.
Yeah.
We had weigh-ins on this episode of Dynamite for the
Yeah,
TNT title.
we did. This was something.
So, we had our two challengers, and they're about to go at it. Team Taz versus Darby Allin. And who makes the save for Darby Allin but Sting?
It's Sting! Like
the
Tony
icon
Schiavone, yeah.
himself.
I love it, don't you?
Do you like the snow entrance as much as I do? Because I love the snow entrance.
It's pretty cool. It kind of gives him a Game of Thrones thing, and I hadn't even watched it, but I know enough about that. People knock it, but I think it's pretty cool. I mean, he's a legend. Why not give the Stinger something different? It just adds to an already Hall of Fame guy. I mean, and I think he likes it. He's on board with it. I've heard some interviews since he's arrived on the scene in AEW. So it was pretty neat because it was actually getting colder in Florida. A lot of people forget it actually gets a little chilly in Jacksonville. I think Shivani and Jim Ross had talked about that. So it kind of fit,
What are we going to call this version of Sting? Like Cold Miser Sting, Sub-Zero Sting,
a Christmas version, just all year.
Snow Globe Sting.
I don't know. That's pretty clever, though. I didn't think of some of those gimmick names. You're reaching in your box of gimmicks now, buddy. That's pretty cool. I like it.
But yeah, I like this angle with Sting and Darby Allin.
Nice. I do. And to your point, I think people, it's easy for us to critique it because, you wonder, well, why ain't they doing anything with Sting? Why? And then he comes back and has that feel-good moment with Shivani. Then they keep going back and forth with him, being mysterious, serious. And I get that, but I think it's all going to lead up to Sting being more of a mentor to Darby. I think I don't know what he can do physically. That's all up in the air and speculation right now. And I like Team Taz, with Cage and Ricky Starks and his son Hook and Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs. Now that's a great faction. I just think eventually, though, they're going to have to be able to get some heat being the heels because how long can you scare them? I know Sting's got the bat, but him and Darby's only two people. So we have to kind of look at that too. But I'm with you. I'm a big Sting fan, but I'm trying to be unbiased too, even as a Sting fan as well.
How do you think they're going to get that heat? You think they're going to hit Sting with a ball bat or something like that?
That's the thing. Well, that's what we were talking about, the physicality. What can he do after the injury with the match with Rollins? I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, that's a great question. A lot of people are wondering that. That's why I don't want to seem like I'm critiquing it because that's the challenges they have. But we don't know. Sting looks great. I mean, he could at least maybe they've talked about put him in a tag match or a cinematic. I've heard him open up about that in an interview. Maybe they could do something like that where it's cinematic, much like similar to the Undertaker AJ Styles match, the Boneyard match at WrestleMania 36 from just this past year, 2020.
I definitely like what they're doing with Sting way more than I liked what WWE did with Sting.
Well, I think the problem is, and with all due respect to Vince and WWE, and Arn Anderson even spoke about this because he was working backstage at the time, and the relationship him and Sting have going back to WCW, NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions, is that they've always viewed Sting as that competition, as the WCW guy, and he just, I love what they did at first with him coming out doing the stare down with Triple H, and then the Scorpion Death Drop, and then the lights going out. They would do some cool stuff with Orton, but then at the WrestleMania match, and then after that, it's just like, well, here we go. This is what we were a little afraid of with bringing Sting in, and when he finally decided to come in.
So on Being the Elite this week, the Dark Order, they decided that they are going to try to recruit Sting. And
I'm going to have to start watching that because I'm intrigued now. I did not know they were going after Sting.
One of them happened to have a sledgehammer in their hand, and he's like, put that away. Sting hates sledgehammers.
Oh, so that was the play on Triple H. Yeah.
That was pretty hilarious.
That is funny. Definitely going back to, speaking of that WrestleMania, what was it, 31, where there was Sting in the game? Because they've had so many WrestleManias anymore, it's hard for me to keep up with which number.
So Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt, they're going to face FTR tonight. We got a little backstage promo.
Yeah, now I did get to catch that. I got to say, nothing against Marco Stunt. Hey, I'm only about 5'5" myself, but he's not doing his team any favors, just me personally, as far as Jurassic Express. He's fiery.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a fiery guy, but come on, FTR and Tully. I like this line, and I'm going to laugh. I mean, it was when Dax told him, what was it? I'd rather it's a Fiat versus a Ferrari. And then Tully's like, you're just a flashback or something like that, and left him. But yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, he can get mad all he wants, but the visual, I do have to agree. I mean, I respect him going after his dream, but it's just, that's the part of AEW that I think Tony Khan gets a little too carried away. I mean, I get it. He's trying to give this kid a chance, and I'm all for it. But it just, that's what I get a little bit confused about. I'll just be honest. I mean, just my
I think they utilize
it.
him correctly. I mean, it's not like they're putting this guy over all the time. Like, they book him like a small guy.
Yeah, they do now. I did see where Brady Lee Jr. did cut a good promo on him and said,
AEW
you're just a glorified mascot or something."
Yeah,
I'm like, well, he's kind of
taller than you.
Yeah, he'll probably be taller because based on his dad being like 6', 7, or 8, and he'll be good. He's been training with like Tyson Kidd, a lot of WWE and AEW stars. So I've been seeing pictures of people posting their videos where they're teaching the kid the ropes already. So it's awesome. He needs that. That is such. It's got. I couldn't imagine how hard it is for him, and that's got to just kind of bring his spirits up, help the family, his mother, and that makes everybody's heart feel so good to see that this kid. The wrestling community in general, all these companies have showed such respect for his father, what he did as a family man, for as much as a wrestler, and they're allowing him to get in the ring, train, because they know that's his goal. I mean, he's wanting to be like his dad, and I think that's awesome, man. I think it's great.
This reminds me of so much of Brian Pillman.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when Brian Pillman died, and
yeah,
I know Brian Pillman Jr. has reached out, to
mm-hmm.
the family.
Yeah, he can relate. And that was so sad. Talk about a guy that could have still reached, I don't know how many heights. That was Brian Pillman. I mean, you saw it when WCW. I think a lot of those guys went over Japan. I'm sure. I'm not for sure about that. You'll have to correct me. But even when he went and done the loose cannon gimmick in ECW and WWE now, that was WWF. He was so good. He was so controversial and so much off the cuff that it just made for great TV. Now, not all the talent were always prepped. Excuse me there. Let me get my words out. But he was a star. Brian Pillman could talk. He was intelligent, and he could go. Unfortunately, injuries,
I think that's what was
happened.
missing from Stone Cold Steve Austin's career was a second feud with Brian Pillman.
Oh gosh, I loved it because they were a tag team. Think about it. They were the Hollywood Blondes, and they knew each other. So, and Austin could cut promos. They could talk, and those guys they would deliver a great match because they could get technical. Brian could do some stuff off the top rope. So could Steve with the middle rope. I'm talking like I know the guy, but still, I mean, at least Steve's in his name. I got that part right. So pretty neat. Yeah.
So we're off track again, but back to Dynamite. Cody Rhodes and Snoop defeated Matt Sydal. So this is pretty much what we can expect from the match. But after the match, Snoop hit the ugliest looking splash I've ever seen in my life.
Boy, Dustin Rhodes should have trained him in his academy because, I mean, seriously, I'm not one to talk because I took a headbutt, but somebody's got to work on technique or something.
You took a pretty good bump.
And by the way, I am still hurting from that, by the way, because we've got another show coming up, and I'll tell you, people ask me, they're like, did that hurt? Oh, you better believe it. He left a mark.
You got to sit in a dark room every once in a while from that.
I do. I've still got problems, but I still love wrestling. I mean, that's what helps me. I don't know what's wrong with us anymore, but help me, Gary. My goodness.
So yeah, I loved Chris Jericho during this. Snoop's asking for them to move the guy closer, and Jericho's
Serpentico,
like, Snoop, you're 7 feet tall. You don't need to.
He's a tall guy. Yeah, I forgot how tall he was, so he comes back out like that. But for him to actually be able to balance the top rope, he done a pretty good job because that's hard to do. I mean, I didn't have to go up top or nothing. So that's
as ugly as it was fun, and it
was still fun
AEW.
to do. Yeah, it was still fun to do. I mean, and why not? I mean, I know everybody's like, well, of course, he's a celebrity. You got to do it. But hey, why not? You got to capitalize because you forget Snoop Dogg's cousin is Sasha Banks in WWE, the SmackDown Women's Champion currently. And And with Cody being on that show too, what's the name of that show? That was a lot of the reason they brought him in.
You
I
know,
believe.
I didn't think about this. I know he's a big fan and he did great on
Yeah.
that Tyson fight, but how long before Vince gets pissed at him from working with AEW and they take away Sasha's Snoop Dogg theme?
Wow, I didn't think about that, to be honest, but I don't know that he will, but it may take more appearances. I don't know. He may not put much merit in one right now. I think he'll be a little more patient than what we think. But yeah, if he keeps down the road, I mean, you can't always buy the rumors. Even a guy that writes daily wrestling news, I mean, I'll be the first to tell you that there was some heat apparently between maybe Snoop going to do stuff with AEW compared to, because he's been with WWE making appearances, and of course with the connection with Sasha.
She's got his theme song, like I said.
Yeah,
you can hear
and then
Snoop's
doing
voice
Cody, doing Cody's now
every time she comes out.
which was cool. I mean, it sounded great, but yeah, that's an interesting point you made.
So after this, Sheeta beat Abandon to remain women's champion.
Let me just tell you, you can go ahead, but this was not my favorite match. I'll just be honest with you.
Why is that?
I like Sheeta. I don't get me wrong. I think she still needs the right opponent, and I just don't. I'm sorry, Abandon. I like horror movies. I get the presentation. For me personally, I don't. This is not the match for Sheeta. I mean, I know she's got to go through these kind of opponents. I get it, and it's nothing against Abandon. I'm sure she's very talented, probably nice, in real life, but it's just not for me. But with that being said, not my tastes are not for everybody. So a lot of people liked it. I thought for what they did was okay. That all I saw was a highlight. So to be fair to this match, I saw the clothesline sequence and then the roll through by Sheeta and a nice knee. But I think Sheeta is definitely deserves to get a push. But I think they may have rushed putting the title on her. I mean, now that did set up some great matches with Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb and different scenarios. But that's just me freestyling. Yeah.
My question then is, if they didn't put it on her, then who?
Well, I'll tell you, and this is not going to be popular, probably makes sense, but I would probably even go Britt Baker. I think that's because of the experience, and she is a veteran, even though she didn't get enough of a push in NXT. I mean, why not? She's got that recognition though when she came over, at least enough you could build on. And with her being such a good heel, I think she would make a great champion. But a lot of times there's that old adage in wrestling. I've heard people say this that's been in the business, not me, that a lot of times it's a preference. You don't know if you want the heels chasing the baby faces, though. So that may be one way of looking at it. I don't know, but I'd be interested in your thoughts. And I'm not knocking either lady. I think they worked their tails off. If I'm personally watching a women's match, like, to be honest, this week I'm more interested in what Tay Conti and having Serena Deeb are going to do for that NWA title. Or I like it when Thunder Rosa comes out because it adds more excitement and they're a little bit more credible, but not that Sheeta's not. Sheeta's came a long way. I think she's great in Japan. I think it's getting used to the American audience and for us as viewers, because she's got a lot better, and she really had to carry Abandon naturally in this match. That's what I took away from it.
So I just noticed that Dave in the comments here, we've been neglecting. So
all right, we better not neglect anybody. We're sorry.
Here's one of his better comments. He says Pillman needs to cut his mullet and be his own man, not his dad. I disagree, Dave.
I don't know. That's subjective as anybody's opinions. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, you don't want to be caught up being just like your father, as great as he was. I can get that side of things, but for him to do the mullet, I don't know. That's not a problem for me personally. But hey, that's a valid point. I mean, if he feels that way.
Dave also thinks that Marco makes Darby look big. That's probably true.
Probably true.
And then,
he is. Yeah,
I want some cinematic matches with Team Taz.
I'm glad he brought that up, Dave. With that, because that's what Sting. We were just actually talking about that just a little bit ago. How Sting is open to that. I think one of the things, he never got the match with the Undertaker, and he saw what they did with him cinematically, and I think too that was the last straw. I think he kind of was like, well, they're not going to use me. I've even told them I'm good from the injury, or at least we're speculating, and that's what kind of let him come into AEW. He probably felt like maybe I'm a better fit here.
I could see that, especially like, all right,
Uh-huh.
Undertaker, here's our opportunity to do something really
Right.
cool, and you're going to retire. And
Mhm.
yeah, I could see him being a little bit salty, and that's why he went to AEW.
And understandably, and of course, once again, that's just what we're hearing. I mean, we got to have, we don't know, but I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. So the main event was awesome. We had Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix.
That was a great match. Yeah.
It was a hell of a match. They were like going off the top rope from the
Oh
get-go.
gosh, they were going for it, man. This was a big time main event. This could have easily been on pay-per-view, but we were lucky to get it on Dynamite.
If you have a top 5 workers, like just guys in the ring, Kenny Omega and Rey Fenix are up there. It's like
they're great
these
workers.
2 guys, Ospreay.
Yeah, Ospreay's up there.
Rollins.
Mm-hmm. I think Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's a lot of good workers these days. So
there are, and a lot of the different companies.
But these 2 guys are in their prime. And
I tell you what, I loved how Rey Fenix paid tribute to Eddie. He did the whole thing on the top, did the frog splash. I loved how it wasn't too many false finishes, but just enough to keep you intrigued. I mean, the V triggers, I've never seen as many, and I know he's done it, but Kenny was going for a lot of them. I mean, the story to me is that they were wanting Omega to try to dominate so he could think he was just going to get the win from Rey, but Rey was like, hey, you're really going to have to come at me because I'm going to kick out. I'm going to show you I've got a heart. I'm going to show you I've got the will to win and take your title. And that Tiger Driver that Rey Fenix hit, I mean, just the creative style, even in Lucha Libre, not just with Japan, the Mexican wrestlers, I'm just so amazed by. And Conan has really sang their praises because he's had a lot of those guys in the AAA or whatever promotion down there. That's where Kenny's been and won that title. So it's awesome, man. That delivered. It's a great match.
I don't know how people are still sleeping on Rey Fenix. I mean, his brother is clearly the more popular one, but I don't know. I think Fenix may be the better wrestler for sure.
Yeah, Phoenix is fun to watch.
Speaking of his brother, he didn't get involved in this match because he was restrained in the back.
He was.
And we saw this after Kenny Omega defeated Rey Fenix.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to end Rey Fenix's career, but who comes out for the save but Jon Moxley?
He's got to come out, man. He was already threatening him. Here's what changed. He said, I'm not going to interfere when it came to the Phoenix Omega match, but when he saw they were going to do something to him, he's like, well, it's now or nothing. And he's still got that issue with Omega and Callis, to be honest, because they screwed him out of the title when Omega did the big heel turn. And I love Callis saying I'm the invisible hand. How intelligent is Don Callis? I really enjoy him. I mean, he's well-spoken. He was underrated in WWE as that character. What was he? The Jackal in WWE. But yeah, I thought it was a great segment. And hey, we got some surprises, didn't we?
We did. The Good Brothers hit the ring then to take out Mox. And then we had the Young Bucks hit the ring, and then also Garrison and Pillman hit the ring. So we had a little bit of a schmaz.
We did. And here's what happened. And they probably could have sold it a little bit better, but they still did a great job. The Young Bucks, when they did the super kick to Garrison and then hit Pillman Jr., it may have been a super kick too. I was trying to remember every move is hard too, but that was pretty cool. And then we got the Too Sweet Bullet Club reunion. And, Omega, all those guys have a history, the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson. And I don't even know the wrestler. I mean, it was interesting, all of the AEW people coming to try to save everything. But Gallows or Anderson, one of them, I think it was Gallows, the bigger guy, power bombed one of them. I just can't think of who it was. There was so much going on that was an interesting spot.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it was either Garrison or Pillman.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember
one of those.
which one either, but it was. I'm pretty sure it was one of those two.
And this is a good segue because speaking of Bullet Club, you've got a lot of information you were talking about and letting me know that was going on social media, Twitter.
So yeah, normally we talk about NJWP, New Japan Pro Wrestling on this podcast, and we got a little segue this week from AEW into New Japan.
We sure did.
The actual Bullet Club was, not happy about this little Bullet Club reunion. So they all took to Twitter to talk about it. First, we had Tama Tonga. The gist of what he's saying is that the Elite only spread the Elite name. They were never in the Bullet Club for the
Wow.
Bullet Club. They used the Bullet Club to get the Elite over. And his other point was the Good Brothers sold out and went to WWE, and they're selling out again.
Harsh.
Bad Luck Fale questioned whether the fabled cease and desist email about the Two Suite ever really happened. And the Young Bucks apparently sent him a screenshot of the cease and desist after that.
Now, wait a minute. I think I may have saw that. That may have been the thread where I saw Tama Tonga comment say, something about a lie. I'm paraphrasing, but I just happened to look at it today because I really didn't get a chance till today to see what you were talking about. But yeah, this has got me wondering. I mean, there's some real tension here. This may not be just a work. There's some they're aggravated with these guys.
Motor City Machine Guns also said online, they were talking about how the Bullet Club without any Tongans is the least scary version of the Bullet Club. So,
well, they've got a point. Hey, anytime you got Tongans, especially the Sons of Ming, one of the baddest men, legit. I mean, the guy's cleared out bars. I mean, they've tried to arrest him.
Bit a guy's nose off.
Yeah, a bit of guy's nose off. So what's funny is not really funny. I shouldn't say that, but he's one of the sweetest guys, but he's also, if you get him mad, he's one of the baddest people in the world. So there's that side of him. And don't ever mess with Samoans. That's not meant to be bad. That's a compliment because they will mess you up.
Oh, they're tough. They're tough customers.
For sure.
So, I gave you a little rundown of the Bullet Club here. Started by Finn Balor, Fergal Devitt. He eventually left, and Machine Gun Anderson took over for a little while before AJ Styles took over. Then AJ Styles was kicked out by Kenny Omega and the Bucks.
Okay,
they took
so that's
the
what
Bullet Club
happened
to crazy high heights, and now you're aware of what the Bullet Club is currently with Evil, Jay White, Kenta, Chase Owens
over in Japan.
Yeah, you name it.
See, here's the thing, Gary. Too is somebody brought up a good point that regardless of what faction you were a fan of or who you think's actually a member of the Bullet Club, they're represented pretty much in a lot of the big time promotions, including New Japan with WWE.
Everyone.
Yeah. And whether it's AEW, maybe Ring of Honor, who knows? I mean, or they've been there, in some
first
shape
of
or
all,
form.
Whose side are you taking? Are you taking old school Bullet Club side or current Bullet Club side?
That's a tough one because I'm a fan of all these people, so I want to tread lightly here. But with all due respect, I don't know what's going on.
I'm sure
I wasn't
they're
watching
all
New
watching
Japan.
right now too.
Yeah, I wish. And they're like, hey, I can't wait to beat this guy up. But no, I wish. But I think I'm going to have to go with old school. With all due respect to the Bucks and Omega, that's nothing against them, but a lot of times, if it's the older ones,
way. Like, because
they have the rights to it. Yeah.
The Bullet Club reached meteoric heights, and let's face it, that's not because of anybody currently in the Bullet Club. All respect to God, Bad Luck Fale, and Jay White and Kenta. It's just, clearly the Young Bucks made the Bullet Club cool. I'm with you. I'm on the side of old school. Do you think we get any New Japan interference anytime soon on AEW? It looked like Tama Tonga, while he was cutting these promos on the Bullet Club, he looked like he was in Florida. I've seen a lot of Florida backgrounds in my day, and it looked like he was chilling by the pool in Florida. Any chance of God hitting the ring maybe tonight or maybe Saturday at Hard to Kill?
You brought up a very interesting point, Gary. I didn't think about the New Japan part of the equation. We're getting caught up and hung up naturally on Impact in AEW, but we forget we're talking New Japan. It all kind of segues because they've got representatives in all these companies. So that would make sense. It'd be logical because the way this Twitter thing, even if it's a legit shoot, it would make for great programming. So why not? Yeah.
I've heard Tama Tonga talk before about not getting into these little feuds without a payoff. So he was in a big Twitter feud with Enzo Amore. And the thing he kept harping on about is, hey, let's get in the ring. Let's make some money off this, or I'm done talking to you. So I definitely think that there's an angle they're playing here. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, let's get in the ring. I remember that. Wasn't really paying attention to it. No disrespect, but I think Enzo kind of backed off for a good reason. Because if they really wanted to throw down, I think you
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
want to mess with Tonga.
No, not Son of Ming.
No.
Yeah, any other AEW thoughts or New Japan thoughts before we move on to Impact to Genesis?
I think I want to touch a little bit on New Japan, and we probably won't get into Strong, but I don't know if you want to touch on the retro right now or
Well,
not.
here, let's just breeze through Impact Genesis quick, because
Okay.
we had the X Cup. So
Yeah, we did.
It was awesome. It was great wrestling. It was a lot like a New Japan tournament. It was a lot.
It was similar. Yeah, they definitely were going for that kind of concept. I agree.
Yeah, it was a lot like a Super Juniors, if you will.
Yeah.
We had Ace Austin defeat Suicide. Then we had Blake Christian defeat Navarro. Then we had Cousin Jake defeat Davari. And then we had Crazy Steve defeat Trey Lamar. And I believe that was the end of the first round.
Yeah, that was the first round. Now, I'll be honest, I only got to see the first round because I think they want you to pay for it naturally, smart. Just leave little bits here so you'll want to purchase the show, but I only got to see the opening round, I believe.
So second round, then we had Christian defeat Crazy Steve. And then we had a little bit of break from the tournament. We had Jordan Grace defeat Jazz, which I think we all saw coming.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I haven't, like I say, I'm still having to relearn Impact, to be honest. I've been, watching for a long time and used to have Access TV, but now just having to watch YouTube. It's kind of changed now. I don't have it. But Grace, yeah, she stood out. She's been very well respected and has paid her dues. And I think Jazz that's why she won, because Jazz has been the legend, the Hall of Famer. And it's great to see her back and give back. I think that's what it was.
And Jazz, she's not in the tip-top shape of her career. She's not in her prime, but she could still go in this match. It was pretty good.
She can go. I mean, she definitely can still get in the ring and just take it to the younger generation. I mean, that's what a great veteran does, a legend, and that's Jazz.
So in the X Cup final, we had Ace Austin defeat Blake Christian. The one thing I will say about this X Cup is they want it to be like a star-making tournament. And I think they did a pretty good job of that. Ace Austin, we got to see how great this young man is. And Blake Christian's no surprise to us, because we're always talking
Christian, yeah.
New Japan Strong, and he's been on New Japan Strong for a long time.
You talk about a guy
Blake Christian can go.
He's got some hops. I mean, if you love fast pace and that kind of cruiserweight X Division style with some New Japan sprinkled in, you're right. This was your kind of matches right here. And I think Navarro's got a big upside too. And Lamar, all those guys. I saw a lot of potential. I like the spot. What was it? The opening round match, Ace Austin. Who was his opponent again?
It was Ace Austin versus Suicide.
Okay, that spot where he lands on his feet on the apron was incredible. Yeah, I mean, it takes some balance and a great athlete. And I believe it's where he did the springboard off the ropes as well. I believe there's a spot. I'm trying to remember that move sequence.
Austin is a stud, man.
Yeah, he comes off.
Will Ospreay like a few years ago. Like, he's just as athletic as you could be. He checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see
what I was getting confused about, and I had it in my notes, and of course it was leaving my mind, my memory, but I think it was Crazy Steve that had the side leg sweep spot off the middle rope. So I was thinking I knew Ace Austin, what little bit of that clip I saw, done something maybe not the same, but similar, where he springboarded off the ropes, but I couldn't remember what the maneuver was.
In the main event, I had a lot of fun with this finish. So it was Willie Mack versus Moose in an I Quit match.
Yes.
Moose beat the holy hell out of Willie Mack to the point where Rich Swann hits the ring and asks Moose, "What do you want? What do you need to stop this?" And Moose just says he wants his shot. So Rich Swann said, "You got it." So it looks like we'll have Moose versus Rich Swann for that title.
And I'm all about
unification.
That. Yeah.
I'm assuming that
I'm all for
TNA
it.
and the Impact Championship.
Yeah, why not?
That was a fun ending. I liked it.
See, I didn't get to see the ending, but the way you described it, that was, even just by you saying it, was awesome. And
It was
what
creative.
part? Yeah, what part I saw of it, I'll tell you what part off the clip that I was seeing of the Willie Mack Moose match. It was the spot where Willie Mack, not Willie Mack, excuse me, Moose had the chair on his midsection. And it looked like Willie Mack was going to hit a finisher off the top rope, but then it's Moose, excuse me, I'm getting tongue tied here, hits the go to hell where it looks like a sit down power bomb through a table, and then it just cut off and it left like a cliffhanger. I'm like, oh no, please give me a few minutes. It's like a good show. It's like, my goodness, I want to see what happened.
I haven't seen any of the Impact teasing stuff. That's pretty good. I like.
Yeah, well, it's just
kind
of in their highlights. Yeah, for the Genesis. Speaking of that, their pay-per-view.
So the only New Japan show we had was New Japan Strong, and it was a fun show. We had
it was
Clark Connors defeating a debuting Kevin Knight.
Yeah,
we had Rocky Romero defeat the DKC, and this might be the story of the show. The DKC, after losing, apologized, says he lacks focus and he needs help. Who did he call for help but Shibata? And he asked Shibata to join the LA Dojo. This was cool. I'm glad that they're retaining some of or one of these guys at least. Like we were talking about Blake Christian. Who else? Zane was on there. Now he's in NXT. Like New Japan Strong is losing all these guys. It's nice to see him retain somebody.
Yeah, because I think it's going to benefit some of the people they retain. For if they do decide to make a move, they'll only get stronger and better and probably be more prepared. In maybe there's always that opportunity for them to go back. So that can work in that way. But that was so cool. And I love the way the commentators really put that moment over. That was a nice touch too. Kelly and
Shibata's a legend, man.
Yeah, I need to research him more. Like I say, I'll be honest with everybody. These guys are educating me on New Japan. So
yeah, we're kind of sending you our favorite matches to watch. We'll talk a little bit about that
I love.
later.
Yeah,
maybe next week I'm going to send you a Shibata match here, and we'll talk more about Shibata.
Absolutely, let's do a Shibata, baby.
We had a Tyler Bateman interview, which was kind of cool. They talked about how he was kicked out of the New Japan dojo back in the day.
Yeah, controversial.
And he said something that was pretty telling. He said he's going to show everybody how real he can be. I don't know if you're aware of the real catchphrase, but it's a Bullet Club thing. So maybe he was.
Well, maybe we get a new member. Yeah,
we're going to get a new member of the Bullet Club.
You know what? I watched the interview and I love his promo. Like all the young lines, that caught one line where it said they were going to be like lambs to slaughter. Thought it was clever when he was talking to Kevin Kelly. But yeah, hey, who doesn't like a guy named Tyler? I mean, come on. Yeah, there you go.
We had JR Kratos, Danny Limelight, my boy Danny Limelight.
Oh yeah, shout out to Limelight.
Another surprise debut. We had Chris Dickinson defeat Brody King and the Regal Twins. This was kind of cool seeing.
I love
Dirty. I love
Dickinson. Oh my gosh! First time I've actually seen him. I know that's sad to a lot of wrestling fans. Say I'm learning on the fly sometimes, but he was destroying people with that chop. The Regal Twins, the blisters getting busted open. I mean, this guy was definitely. They said Josh Barnett from Bloodsport, and who actually called New Japan with JR. I did because I called a little bit of when they were calling it on Access TV, I believe at that time when they had that deal, and him and Brody doing the exchange or Kratos, and these Regal Twins are, or I don't know if they're twins, brothers, I should say, but are very talented, very skilled, and they are twins. Okay, cool, and. All of it. And you got Brody King. You got more of the Ring of Honor kind of connection there. So this was a great match. Yeah. 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 It was awesome to do. For sure. A fun match. Yeah. Yeah, fun match.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It just happened to cut off. Hey, it happens. Hey, we meant to do that. I told you retribution's at trouble.
We've been trying to get you involved in New Japan. We've been teaching you, and I've been recommending matches. And the first match I recommended for you to watch was Suzuki and Okada at the Suzuki Anniversary Show in the rain. What'd you think about this match?
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, it was phenomenal. And those fans, let me just give them props. We here in the States think we're passionate. For them to be out there in that rain, it shows you not only their respect for Suzuki and Okada and for how much they love New Japan and their wrestling. I mean, the Japanese people are faithful. That's a takeaway. But Suzuki, does anybody hit harder? There's probably close, but the way he was slapping Okada would come back. I love the spots in a lot of the New Japan style matches where they're trading forearms. It's the way he could, utilize the armbar submission, hold on the ring apron. It was the way Okada came back with his tombstone power driver. Some of the sequences, the little nuances were just incredible. I mean, it was just unique, but you could see it happen anywhere because it was a good technical match. And this is one where Okada, I don't know his exact style, but he didn't do a lot of stuff off the top, which was kind of a nice change of pace.
Did you notice that they really didn't hit the ropes at all because they can't?
They did. And I think one spot, and it's going to happen because naturally the ring's wet, the surface, Okada did fall because it was raining. Even when it didn't look like it was raining hard, it was still coming down enough where it was still dangerous to work in that kind of environment. But it shows you how tough they are. They're professionals, man, and they were going to give the people what they wanted, and that showed you once again that respect factor for Suzuki. And I'll tell you, the combination where Okada had Suzuki up and then drove the knee down, what a move. And of course, Suzuki kicks out, then you see Okada kick out. But it was the abdominal stretch type submission and back into the armbar, and that's what did it. That's what finished him off. There was so much I had. I just couldn't remember it all. Was it the time limit draw? Oh, I thought that was the finish. I thought he submitted. Okay.
Yeah, the commentary was in Japanese.
It was, and that's what threw me off, and it was neat. Yeah.
They never did English on this.
Okay, that's what it was. Time limit draw.
It was a 30-minute time limit draw. He never tapped out, but it still makes both guys look extremely strong. Your champion doesn't lose, and you put over a legend with a draw.
Absolutely.
This is kind of your first time, I think, experiencing one of these New Japan draws. They're a big deal in New Japan. Okay. So every match has a time limit. You'll see a number, they'll put out the promo picture. Mm-hmm. You'll see a number. They'll have like 1 and then 30, which means, one fall, 30 minutes, or 160, or 1 infinity.
But see, what's great about that is it makes it feel what wrestling's origins are. I know we think of it as entertainment, but sport. You've got time limits. You've got certain stipulations. Kind of an old school thing, but can still work new school, but probably is not any different in New Japan because you guys would know that. I'm still kind of with my research, watching and reviewing these type of programs.
I think you hit it on the head there. And that's the difference between New Japan and a lot of other, AEW, WWE,
all of them,
is they are simulating a sport. They are trying to make it look like the real deal.
And it should be. Yeah, I agree. That's what I like about New Japan. And I'll tell you, the Friday night show may be one of my favorites. I love Wrestle Kingdom, don't get me wrong. And I love the New Year Dash, all those big events. And we got one coming up in March you were telling me about. But those young lions, mixing them with those veterans, getting that kind of rub, establishing them is a good mix and a good way to utilize their talent. I like the way they book and how they're creative there. And how they'll brawl after a match. After that 6-man tag, they brawl because it carries the storyline and how they interview them backstage. All of it segues and ties into the bigger picture.
For sure. Yeah. I think you lucked out because New Japan Strong was
a
little boring before you watched this episode.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I think it was getting a little stale. It started to be the Who Can Beat Up Rocky Romero show.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, and we got to talk just a little bit about that match with DKC. Rocky had a great strategy working on the arm, but DKC had, I think, a suplex into some sort of submission. I was trying to write them down. I had to rewind because all the action goes by so fast. I don't know that I'm going to do that all the time where I have to do like commentary. Oh, yeah, this was such and such.
That's the only thing that sucks about New Japan is there's no instant replays unless it's a huge
Yeah, unless it's Wrestle Kingdom or something. Then I notice replays, but that's okay. I mean, that's one thing about technology, that scroll thing. It's just a pain sometimes because you're like, okay. I may spend 5 minutes on just going back to one move, so I'm going to have to change my format a little bit.
You know, I think that's the sign of a true wrestling fan is you'll see like a tiny little spot or a tiny little like, oh damn, look at how he transitioned from that armbar, and you'll watch it 5 times.
Yeah, because it gets you hooked because that's what wrestling, even amateur, that's how holds and the scientific, that's what we mean technical, the technique. It's all important. And you don't realize that when you're just a kid watching it. I think you get to that point where when you're adult, you appreciate that a lot more because used to, headlocks could seem boring and wrist locks, but it's a way to set the tone for a match. And they all start different, but now I'm understanding that more.
For sure. What's next? So tonight, obviously, we got Impact. We're going to go here and try to catch up. Or Dynamite, so we're going to try to go catch up.
Yeah.
This Saturday, we have Impact's Hard to Kill.
We do.
So Edwards versus Callahan. Like you said, Purrazzo versus Taya Valkyrie for the championship. Mm-hmm. We got Hogan and Steels versus Havoc. And is it Nieva?
Yeah, Nevea, I think. Nevea. I think it's, or something like that. Yeah.
But anyways, for the new Knockout Tag Championships, which should be cool, we got Young, Diener, and Doring versus Rhino, Dreamer, and Jake something, or Cousin Jake, whatever.
Yeah, it's Cousin Jake, yeah.
I know him as Jake something on the indies.
But at least it's Jake. Hey, you got Jake. That's
Eric Young on the
TNA. That's another example of a guy that needed to come back home or somewhere because he's feeling like himself. He can be himself, and we're seeing his creativity on display. He's been nothing short than amazing since he's came back.
Underutilized.
The Impact Zone. Yeah,
he was. I don't know. What was
but he could have worked. I mean, if they would have just let him
Sanity
do that,
was cool. If they would have just ran with Sanity, I think it could have went places.
See, I know a little bit. What helps me with Impact Wrestling is you still have some of the holdovers from the TNA Impact days when the Jarretts had it, when Dixie Carter, all those people.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's what helps.
We got Karate Man versus Ethan Page, and what's sure to be a cinematic match. I hope.
I would think so because it's the same person, so
it's gonna be hilarious.
It'll be funny because when he started doing that, at first it took me a little bit. It's like, oh, I like Ethan Page, but where are we going with this? And then
they did it on the Good Brothers pay-per-view.
That remember. One where everybody was purposely saying, "Oh, this is the worst thing," and probably even worse than that. But what I saw of that was entertaining. Paul Lee has actually been at CCW shows. He plays like the Nature Boy gimmick, and he reminds you of those old school wrestlers. He'll back away from people by his time, and very talented guy, very cool guy, and he's done some work with Impact. So it's pretty cool to see people like him on there, and it's like, whoa, I just seen him at the event in CCW in Nashville, but he's there with Impact. That's pretty neat.
Dashwood and Caleb versus Rosemary and Crazy Steve. And then the main event, the one we're looking forward to here Saturday, is the Good Bros and Kenny versus Rich Swann and Motor City Machine Gun. I really hope there's shenanigans. I'm looking more forward to the shenanigans than I am the actual match.
Yeah, so there'll be plenty of both. I hope we get a combination, to be honest. Not too much of one or the other, but a good mix. I'm with you. That's going to be great, though. And I'm a big Motor City Machine Guns fan and a fan of Rich Swann, so I'm glad to see the Good Brothers and Omega with this alliance with Callis, the whole cross promotion. It's going to be intriguing for sure.
So in New Japan, we're on the road to New Beginning and the road to Lions Break. We're always on the road to something.
So got to be, yeah.
I was looking at some of these cards. There's a little too much Master Watto in the main event on these road to cards.
We know how you feel about Master Watto.
This is all leading to the New Beginning in Nagoya. That's Saturday the 30th. There we have the Never title, Shingo versus Tanahashi. And then again, we get back on the road to New Beginning. And we're going to the road to New Beginning in Hiroshima, which that's February 10th. There's 2 dates there.
Can we get Shingo and Jeff Cobb again from Wrestle Kingdom?
It would be nice, but I don't know if we're going to.
I know they can't do it all the time like that, but me fantasy booking, I just want to see that.
Here's the thing, man. This Shingo versus Tanahashi thing is going to be a banger. I know you're not super aware of who Tanahashi is, but Tanahashi is like the John Cena of New Japan. He may be the best face in wrestling in our lifetime.
Oh, I
Well,
respect
I know.
Tanahashi. I don't know a
Hogan.
whole lot
It's
about
like,
him.
in my
Yeah.
opinion, it's Hogan and Tanahashi for best faces of all time.
And that's saying something because no matter your opinion on Hulk Hogan, I mean, talking about wrestling, I mean, he was the face. He was the guy people recognized.
So yeah, first night on this new beginning in Hiroshima, we got the tag championships, God versus the Techers. Then we got the junior championship, Hiromu versus Sho. Then we also have the next night, we got that Sonata versus Ibushi match.
Oh, that's one I'm looking forward to, Sonata Ibushi. And hey, speaking of that, I was messaging you and Daniel. What do you think? He obviously Ibushi made some comments that were making waves, like he may want to combine the titles.
Oh, he's been adamant that he wants to.
Yeah, he's been serious.
The only thing I will say is wrestlers, it seems like they have a free reign, or I don't know, maybe they test waters too.
They do. They try. Yeah.
So sometimes what they say doesn't always happen, but I really hope he doesn't, because I think this IC title is needed. I think guys like Sonata need it.
They can use
guys like Zack Sabre Jr. need it. I think Taichi
I love Zack Sabre Jr. Oh man, what a wrestler!
I get there's a lot of titles out there. There's the Never title. There's the US title. You know, there's
a lot of championships
divisions, but I don't know. I used to be under the, I used to have the idea that there's too many of them. I don't think that's the case anymore. I kind of think that they need programs. I
think because they've got a lot of depth too, but we didn't realize it if you include all their programming. So they're going to need some gold to. Now I don't want to say give out, but earn. I mean, they're going to have, like you were saying with a Sonata or whoever that deserves that or a Sabre Jr. Those examples.
So they also announced a New Japan Cup. It's in March. So way too early predictions for the New Japan Cup before we go.
It'd be just a little early. If it was closer, maybe, to the day, but still exciting. I mean, it's enough to get excited about and look forward to.
Do you got a prediction? Do you got a New Japan wrestler that's caught your fancy in the short time you've been watching that you think is going to be the guy of the summer after winning the New Japan Cup?
I'll be honest with you. I like Ibushi a lot. But I
don't know if he'll be in it, but we'll see. It's possible.
Let me go back. And of course, I respect Ibushi, but
I think Naito was in the last New Japan Cup. So yeah,
Naito's another one too. But it's going to sound funny, but I like Jay White. I mean, as far as being a heel, and I like Cobb. Yeah, I like Cobb.
You can't undersell that news. Is he's on the poster for it? So that happens in March. Everyone's talking about Jay White leaving.
Yeah, and I don't get that. And he's on the poster. Yeah, it's all probably an angle because that's if you think about it, it's genius. Get people talking, and him even saying, "Hey, I'm going to reach out to WWE, get the fillers out, but yet you're staying." It's a great shoot angle, is the way to look at it. I mean, so it's smart business, and it'll help them make money because they're getting other names mentioned, and it could be possible. But I think, to be honest, he'll be better off in New Japan. I mean, that's just me. I may be wrong. I'm not saying he couldn't do any kind of style or work over here, but he's going to do, I think, so much great business with Ibushi. We've not seen the last of that. I think he still wants whoever's the champion. I mean, Jay White's great. That Will Ospreay. I think that's one of Daniel's favorites. I like him. I like Shingo.
So Will Ospreay is going to be facing Kojima. He cut a pretty good promo. You should look up on Twitter.
Oh, Will Ospreay's
where he talks some trash to the legend Kojima.
Yeah, see, Kojima's a legend. See, Will Ospreay, they may be trying to do the Randy Orton thing, just in a New Japan way, where Kojima's revered as this legend. And with all due respect, he's a great wrestler.
Tenzan. Now they're going to go after Kojima.
Yeah, Tenzan, exactly.
And maybe they'll go after Nagata. I like that.
So we've got Will Ospreay, the New Japan legend killer. How about that? With all due respect to Orton,
Before we take off, check out this promo about how you can find the Buzz on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I go far. Baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory. I'm a necessity, so come and check me out now. I'm a necessity, so come and check me out now.
Hey, yeah.
All right, Tyler, solid show. I give it a
Yeah, yeah.
9.95.
Yeah, you know what? I'm getting more comfortable too because I'm finally learning names, but it may be where I was like, well, Daniel, Gary, take over that pronunciation, even if I get good at it, because I'm not sure it'll come out. But it was funny. I was laughing because you see me move. I hate it when I talk. You always get these little things on your lips, but it's okay. It's cool. And I'm like, I'm so self-conscious of it. I'm like, my God, I'm getting so excited. I'm getting crap all over without even eating anything. Because
you're drooling all over this New Japan.
That's the thing. That's what I wanted to make fun of. I want to go. I can't help it. The drool. They've got me, man. They've got me. It's B. Priestley. With all due respect to Will Ospreay. But no, fun show, man. Appreciate it.
Joshi wrestling.
Yeah, hey, appreciate it, man. And Miss Daniel, I know he'll join us next week.
Yeah,
And
we'll
hey,
be
thank
back
you
again
guys for
next
having
week.
me, man. I hope I'm doing okay. I know it takes time to get the chemistry deal, but it's I felt it was good. Yeah, fun tonight.
Yeah, solid show.
Hey,
All
good
right,
night,
everyone.
man. I better get some dinner, man. Speaking of that.
We're gonna go watch Dynamite. Everyone, take it easy.
Yeah,
Have a
that's
good
what
night.
we're gonna do. Yeah. Bye. Peace.